And a good Sunday morning to you. Pete Thompson in studio here on 97.3 ESPN. I am joined by PW alum Mike Carlin, Colonial Mike Carlin. Billy is, that's interesting. Where's Billy?
Where's Billy? Has anybody found Billy?
He is so distraught over the Cowboys hanging 51 points on the Eagles last night that he sent me a text this morning and said, "You got this?"
He can't take a hard loss.
I mean, that's the thing. Look, their starters beat our backups. Big deal, Billy.
Yeah, exactly.
My father's phrases would be, suck it up. Rub some dirt on it.
Move on.
You'll be fine. Billy, we're missing you. We got the ship here today, me and Mike Carlin. We're with you for 2 hours here on the 97.3 ESPN on the Locker Room. 2 hours, 10 until 12. And the fun part of today's show, Mike Carlin, is that normally we're previewing the game, right? We're the pregame to the pregame, so to speak, and people are in game mode and they're all psyched up. Well, now here we are on a Sunday morning, and we got a situation where we're not previewing the game. We're sort of having a post-mortem and a recap of what took place.
We can recap it, and then we can get an idea of who we think we're going to see next week.
That's a big thing.
Today's game.
That's a big thing. Yeah. Who will the Eagles play? In fact, that leads me right into what our Twitter question is of the day, and that is the Eagles are locked into either playing at the Bucs or at the Rams for the first round of the playoffs. Who would you rather face and why? And we just saw the scenarios fly up on the TV a minute ago. You know, if the Saints get in, the Eagles actually will be a 6 seed, and then they will go to the Bucs. If they are the 7 seed, they'll play at the 2 Rams. That's the way that it looks. Those are the two scenarios, basically. You know, there's some outside possibility with like 8 things that could happen that the Cowboys would end up in that 2 seed. But who we kidding?
Yeah, and we don't talk Cowboys anyway here.
I mean, so we'll have to talk about them a little bit last night because I was at the game. But you did say to me, and I'll give you the chance to address this right off the bat. Who would you rather face and why? And you have an interesting answer. You think who?
Well, for people who are driving, you may want to pull off to the side of the road here. I love Tampa Bay. I love Tom Brady. I love all that. Okay, they're really a good team. But if you ask me who I'm going to play, one or the other, I'll go with Tampa Bay. Just with everything that's involved this past week, you can say it's not in their heads and not in the locker room, but it is with the Antonio Brown stuff. I also think they're beat up on a couple other issues with players.
Defensively.
Yep. And I think the biggest thing is I would rather take a 2-hour trip to Florida than a 6-hour trip out to LA.
Okay. I mean, they do fly in style.
I understand, but it's still long. The time difference is long. It does make a difference. I just think, and plus we're always talking about our rushing is getting better and better. What a better game to play Tampa Bay this way, because you rush, you eat up the clock, and you keep Tampa Bay off the field. I just think there's in my mind, there's a lot of better things going for us. Now, people are going to say LA and their quarterback and Stratford and all that. He's not upset. If you're just asking me who I want, I'd rather play Tampa Bay.
Now, let me ask you this, Mike Carlin. If I told you this, would this give you pause? Tom Brady has a passer rating of 92.7 with 1,821 yards, 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions in the 6 games against the Eagles in his career. That's the one thing that gives me pause. It's easy to jump on the bandwagon and say, yeah, man, the Bucs are really messed up right now. Yeah, the Bucs are a mess. And then you sit there and you look at TB12. I mean, look, there was a period of time where I just hated the guy, and now I just have to tip my cap and go, God bless it. He's good.
You know what I say? You go to a roulette table and you put $50 on bread and it comes up 7 straight times. Sooner or later, black's going to come up. I mean, sooner or later, Tom will have a bad game. I'm just hoping it's against us.
And he's had some bad games during this regular season. This guy has 4,990 yards. I mean, he's almost thrown for 5,000 yards at his age, 40 touchdowns, only 12 interceptions. And really, you know, I was thinking about this morning, Mike. It's kind of like pick your poison, because he's the passing leader right now in the league. Do you know who's number 2? You got a guess?
Allen.
How about Stafford? 4,648 yards. And he's got 38 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. My point being, there's really no good option. Like,
Right.
who would you rather play? Would you rather play the Rams and that vaunted defense and everything that they bring to the table? Would you rather see Cooper Kupp dissecting your weak, can I say ass? It's not even 11 o'clock yet. Weak ass secondary and slicing your way through your linebackers? Cooper Kupp would eat the Eagles linebackers alive. When can Cooper Kupp get open? Every single time.
Yeah.
I mean, look at, you were saying before we came on the air this morning about how excited you are for the late game tonight because it's win and get in, you know,
Yes.
that Chargers and Raiders game. And the Chargers, to me, are like, you know, Jekyll and Hyde. Like they have split personalities.
All over the place.
The Chargers I watched kick the Eagles' ass at Lincoln Financial
I was
Field. That game, it was Keenan Allen all day long or Austin Eckler, and they pretty much, you know, plus Justin Herbert, he could do anything he wanted. And you just, as a lifelong Eagles fan, I sit there and think, well, I don't want that.
Yeah.
But the Eagles have had success out there. Listen, the beauty of this and doing a radio show is you're listening to The Locker Room here on 97.3 ESPN, Pete Thompson, Mike Carlin. You don't have a right answer. There's no one concrete right answer of, oh, this or oh, that. So 609-403-0973 is the text message board if you'd like to contribute. We are asking you, the Eagles are now locked into either playing at the Bucs or the Rams for the first round of the playoffs. Who would you rather face and why? Which team would you rather face and why? Well, of course, I told you we weren't going to talk about the Cowboys, but we have to talk a little bit about the Cowboys because, like I said, they hung 51 last night on the Philadelphia Eagles. And on the plus side, when you got to halftime, there was a point, well, before halftime, but there was a point where it was tied up at 17, right?
Yeah.
There was a point where, you know, the Eagles were in the game. Heck, there was a point where the Eagles were winning the game.
Exactly. I looked at that game as the Eagles almost had nothing to lose. They were resting literally everybody. And it was like, hey, second teamers, third teamers, this is the way to make a splash for yourself. For a game, you're going to play for yourself. For next year's contract or someone else to find you. And I'm looking at your hat. I'm just thinking about it right now, Temple. I can remember the years where Temple could play with anybody for a half.
Yes.
And I mean anybody. They played Penn State, Notre Dame. By halftime, it was still a close game. The second half, they would get taken to. That's almost like how last night's game was.
Yeah.
It's almost like they did their best to be with Dallas. Dallas had all their starters, and then Dallas took over. It's not nothing I didn't expect.
For those of you watching on the StreamYard and joining us on YouTube and Twitter, I am all templed out today. I've got my Temple Owls hat and I've got my Temple Owls polo shirt. My logic was this, Mike Carlin. I knew that I could not wear Eagles gear. They lost, right? Mm-hmm. I knew that I could not wear Flyers gear because they freaking blew it. They were up 2-0 and they gave up a hat trick to some dude from the Sharks whose name is Hurdle, right? Look, maybe when I was skinnier, I jumped over a hurdle. I don't want the guy coming in and kicking our butt at the Wells Fargo Center. Don't ask me the wing score. I have no idea what happened in that game. But it was a busy afternoon in South Philly. Let's put it that way. My Temple Owls, though, did have a huge win. Yes, second straight buzzer beater win for Temple basketball. But that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about Week 18 in the NFL, the first time that we have this Week 18. Do you like the scenario? You know, I mean, I didn't talk to you about that. Do you like the scenario of the fact that these games are all supposed to come down to something, and really it's only one? They were grasping at straws, buddy. They almost got totally foobarred. And I know you know what that word that means. They almost hosed themselves because almost all the spots were clinched. And where was the drama?
Right. Hey, 4 or 5 games into the season, did we think we'd be where we are right now? The majority of people would say no. We were already talking about another quarterback. We were already talking about are we going to eat the coach's contract for the next couple of years and move on with somebody else?
Oh, yeah.
Now look where we are. Now we went into the last game of the year. We were always saying, hey, we want to play Dallas because Dallas may not be able to play for anything and we'll get a win and we'll sneak in that way. Imagine we go into the last game to play opposite. We don't care if we win or lose and we're already in. So I think at this point forward, I think we got a nice little rest here. We'll see who we're going to play tonight for next week. And I feel confident that we're ready. And again, I hope it's the Bucs. For some reason, I think the Rams are a better team than what they are. And I just hope they're not one of those teams that shows it from the first playoff game on. They have a lot of stars on that team. And if they all come together, they're going to be dangerous.
And again, our Twitter question of the day, it's on Twitter, and it's also our message board question, 609-403-0973. The Eagles are going to play either the Bucs or the Rams for the first round of the playoffs. Who would you rather face and why? 609-403-0973. Lots to talk about today as we're here for 2 hours in the locker room. Pete Thompson and Mike Carlin with you. Dallas, like he said, played their starters. The Eagles did not. They opted to rest players. Is that going to be a benefit? Plus, they did clinch a couple records last night. We're going to talk with Scott Grayson. Grayson's grades, I haven't even looked to see if they're up yet or if he's just going to give them on the fly. He's going to join us on the flip side of the break. Plus, later on in the show, Brian Hartley, our fantasy guru, brought to you by Stell Exteriors. He'll join us. Brian Hartley, listen, I won my fantasy league, so of course I'm going to talk about that. And I came in second in the 97-3 league. But hey, first and a second, that's not bad. Brian Hartley helped me out quite a bit. And there's still daily fantasy.
Who won the ESPN one? Who took first?
Kevin McCormack, I believe, is the guy's name.
Good for him.
Yeah, not Pete Thompson. But I was in it the whole way. Actually, I was the top seed, but that didn't matter when it came. Look, I'd rather win. I had a big money league,
right,
and then the 97
Go with the
league.
big money. Go with the big money.
Yeah, big cash prize. Yeah, I won the big money. And then at 11:30, the other guy that sits in your position there, Brad Quast, is going to be with us. He's got a Baltimore game.
He's
that
down live
to
in
do
Baltimore.
his compliance stuff, his real job, so to speak. But he'll moonlight with us and jump on a little bit with us in the second hour of the show. Folks, first hour of the locker room is powered by Surety Title. Surety provides comprehensive title insurance and professional settlement services for home buyers and sellers, real estate agents and brokers, lenders, home builders and developers, and attorneys to facilitate real estate purchases. Surety is an industry-wide leader with a team of experts that will help you through the entire process from contract signing to closing. From the shore to Center City and every place in between, Surety Title is there for you. 15 office locations in New Jersey and PA. That's Surety Title. For more information about Surety Title Company, please contact Ron Conklin at 856-988-8900. Hey, folks, have you heard of my Winter Watchdog? It's New Jersey's new premier vacant home management service, My Winter Watchdog. And this is where I usually go. You know those worrisome thoughts that creep into your mind every time you hear of a storm coming, or the daunting task of driving down to the shore to check on the house, the hours of your time on the road. I mean, we had 2 instances, not one, but 2 instances of that this week. Monday and Friday, the winter weather came. Let My Winter Watchdog be your eyes and ears with their 15-point inspection checklist. They offer a full menu of maintenance and improvement services. Owner Debbie McGonigal and her team of property caretakers are professionally licensed, bonded, and insured. So don't let the winter worry you. They'll give your house that lived-in look. That's My Winter Watchdog. Go to mywinterwatchdog.com or call them at 267-202-1869. It's the locker room on 97.3 ESPN. Pete Thompson, Mike Carlin with you from now until 12. On the flip side, we'll catch up with Scott Grayson, Grayson's grades, and Fox 29. Scott Grayson will join the show to talk a little bit about what took place last night in that Eagles loss to the Cowboys and more as you're listening to the locker room on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Wake up.
It was late. What time did you get home last night?
Wake up. Oh, wait, is this for me or is this for you? You're listening to The Locker Room here on 97.3 ESPN. Pete Thompson alongside Mike Carlin is, yes, I did go to the Eagles game last night. Froze my tuchus off. Got home around, I want to say it was around midnight, maybe. And because we stayed to the bitter end.
Yeah.
You know, you got to watch that touchdown, right? I mean, listen, you can't leave and miss the Quez Watkins touchdown and failed 2-point conversion, right? I mean, come on.
I surprised my daughter, and I gave my tickets to her and her boyfriend to go to the game. And I think she stumbled in around 12:30 or so.
Did she have a few of the tall beverages?
No, she's 19.
Oh, okay. So maybe not legally.
Right, exactly. And I don't ask too many questions, so let's just leave it at that.
Oh, that's too funny. Well, this is a good time to pivot away from that discussion and get to our Eagles discussion with our man, Scott Grayson. Grayson's Grades, Fox 29. Follow him on Twitter at Scott Grayson, Fox 29. He joins us each week, usually to preview the game. In this case, we get to sort of have a good morning recap. Scott, you'll notice that no Billy, so I took away that police music and played whatever I wanted.
Yeah, I did notice that, which is, it's a good change. And you stayed to see the Quez Watkins touchdown. What you failed to see yesterday was a J.J. Arcega-Whiteside touchdown. You came very close, but you didn't get that.
Was that the one that went right through his damn hands and the entire stadium was like, well, what went wrong with that? And then you saw the replay and it hit him in the hands.
Yeah, one job. He had one job and he failed to do it. Yeah.
It almost feels unfair, like we're piling on the guy for more of his ineptitude, you know?
Well, you look at him and Jalen Reagor, and if you check out Grayson's Grades on the website, you'll see that they did not grade well. And look, both guys were given finally an opportunity to try to show you what they could do with more reps and more opportunities. And quite frankly, both failed. I am so tired of seeing Jalen Reagor run the jet sweep and string it out to the sideline and run out of room for a -1 yard loss. It happens all the time. The guy fails to cut the ball up. At some point, you have to pick whatever hole you think might be there. And even if it's a 1 or 2 yard gain, that is better than a 1 or 2 yard loss. And the guy hasn't gotten it. It's either poorly coached, it's a bad move to continue to call it. Either way, it's poorly executed, and I'm done with that with Jalen Reagor. And as far as J.J. Arcega-Whiteside goes, I hear he does, and I've seen some that he's a decent blocker. He does some decent things, but I'm sorry, I need my receivers to be able to catch the ball as well. And frankly, I'm ready for this team to move on from both those guys.
Dare I call them Tweedledee and Tweedledum? Go ahead, Mike.
Scott's exactly on. Scott, with last night's game being a national game, we had a national broadcasting team, and both of them were not holding back on how they felt about our receivers other than Smith. I mean, a couple of those drops, and they were like, they literally said, I don't word for word, but it was like they need some help or they need to move on, like you just said. They got to make some really tough decisions at the end of this year to say we move on from them or something's got to change, because you're exactly right. That's at stretch where they run it out and they lose one yard or they gain 1 yard. What's the difference really?
Yeah, it's a play that never succeeds. And you're right. Those guys were, and this is what's a game like yesterday is a golden opportunity for some of these guys to really go out, put something on film on a national audience, with some of these coaches that might be watching and thinking, hey, maybe I can look for somebody that I could get to contribute for my team in the future. And some guys took advantage of the opportunity. I think an Andre Dillard actually, played pretty well for the most part, and may have helped his opportunity to get out of Philadelphia and go find a fresh start somewhere else. And that's what it's about for some guys. Look, Nelson Aguilar just couldn't handle playing here. And we saw the wear and tear that it put on him mentally. He was unable to perform here. He went somewhere else and he started eventually making some plays after he did play. Look, he had a great game in the Super Bowl. There's no doubt, but he had problems after that. The dropsies hit him. Exactly what you're seeing with Arcega-Whiteside. A fresh start helped him out in Vegas. He's in, New England. Mm-hmm. He's making some plays for some guys. And I think these guys just need a fresh start. It's not here. They can't perform here in this team, in this city. Jalen Reagor's complaining about booze. Look, That's the worst thing you can do. And
Him and
ultimately,
Tobias Harris.
Yeah.
They need some help at that position. In my opinion, the best thing to do, I'm looking for a guy in his mid to slightly above mid-20s that you can get some serviceable years out of to put opposite Devontae Smith. And this week, guys, the news of Calvin Ridley looking for potentially a trade. I'm doing a little bit of homework on that, make sure that mental stuff is gone. And then I'm also moving on to say, look, that could be a great piece to put opposite Devontae Smith. Obviously, we're looking down the road a little bit, and there's a lot still to go on this season, so I shouldn't go too far down that path.
It's okay.
Human nature for us to start with the bad grades, of course. We got the red pen out, and Scott gave an F, by the way, to Arthego-Whiteside. He also gave an F to another guy. Go to 973ESPN.com to find out who that other guy is. We won't give it away, Scott, so they'll go read your article. Jalen Reagor, we've discussed. The offensive line, though, you did mention Andre Dillard, but the offensive line you did not give a high grade to. How did you grade the offensive line as a whole?
Well, it's hard to grade these. This really was like a preseason game from a grading standpoint as well, because you're looking at everything. You're looking at this offensive line, guys who, again, are looking for an opportunity. They're getting the opportunity, but how much have those guys really played together as a unit? And if you talk to any offensive lineman, you will hear them talk about the importance of the chemistry and the idea of knowing what the guy next to you is going to do on the offensive line. And these guys, they just were not doing that well, but they haven't had much practice as a unit. And those offensive linemen, to me, I thought that the Cowboys, granted, they were going against starters on the other side. That Cowboys starting defensive line was getting pressure on Minshew left and right whenever he dropped back to pass. They were doing all kinds of things to confuse that offensive line. So, in short, I thought the offensive line not having the opportunity to work much as a unit really didn't have a chance to build much chemistry together. And as a result, the Cowboys starters were able to take big time advantage and just get a big pass rush on those guys. And frankly, I thought that, that was a key to Minshew's poor performance, was the fact that he was under pressure almost instantly on almost every drop back.
I'm with you. There's a reason why you have starters versus second teamers. The starters are supposed to be better than them. But so we've talked about the D's and the F's that you gave. You must have liked a couple things. Did anybody get some A's? Did anybody get some B's in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I liked, honestly, Nick Sirianni to me deserves a lot of credit. That's a tough game from a head coaching standpoint to try to manage, right? You got all these starters who, look, this is an extra game, wasn't on the schedule a few years ago. Even last year, there wasn't the extra game. You got a chance to give these guys rest. A lot of these guys are willing and want to take full advantage of it. But he took into consideration and looked at what was available for some guys to reach in this last game. Jason Kelce's start streak, he went in there for one snap, kept the start going and the play and the games played streak going. And then he came out. And I think that's, it's a small thing, but that goes a long way in the locker room with the players. Devontae Smith, he had a conversation with Smith during the week. How important is this record to you? Do you want to go out and get this? And Devontae Smith, I'll do what's best for the team, coach. Well, Sirianni was a receiver. He understands, and he knows one day down the road, Devontae Smith may look back and say, I wish I would have played and gotten that record. Well, they got him the record and got him out of the game. I thought it was the right way to handle things. And when you look forward down free agency and you start talking about these players all know each other, and somebody says, hey, what's it like to play for Sirianni? Oh, he's a player's coach, or he'll go out there and help you get that incentive bonus that you might want at the end of the season if you still need it. And I think for Sirianni, that was a good game. And I'm sorry, when the Cowboys are continuing to send their starters out there into the second half, into the fourth quarter, I mean, the competitive nature, you must have to say, this is ridiculous. You guys are idiots, and I want to go put my guys out there now and take you out. I know obviously he didn't do that. He shouldn't do that. He did the right thing. I thought Sirianni handled it well. Devontae Smith, I gave an A to. I mean, there were guys that I think definitely had a decent performance. Huntley, I thought, looked to me like, hey, there's a guy taking advantage of that opportunity I've talked about. And I wouldn't mind seeing him returning kicks in the playoffs. I thought he did that well.
3 kickoff returns for 84 yards, an average of 28 yards per return. That's right from the Grayson's Grades article on 97.3 ESPN.com. So before we let you go, Scott, I will sample you on this question, which is our Twitter/message board question of the day. And Scott Grayson, of course, joining us via the Maserati, the mainline hotline. Scott, the Eagles are basically, it's either the Bucs or the Rams, right? I mean, that's, take some. I think those are the only two, right, that they could play
No,
in the playoffs.
They could play 4 teams. There are 5 playoff scenarios: 1 for the Rams, 1 for the Cardinals, 1 for the Cowboys, and 2 to face the Buccaneers.
But the two highest percentage are the Bucs and the Rams, right?
Yeah. It
all
seems
right,
like
so I'm going to
likely.
take all the other ones out.
A lot of things have to happen for the other things.
Exactly.
So I'll conveniently fudge the math because I suck at math. Why don't you tell me if it was either of those two, which of those two would you rather have the Eagles face? So do you think they match up better against the Bucs or the Rams?
My head tells me the Bucs because of how banged up they are. Let's also consider the fact it's a much shorter trip down to Tampa than it is out west to play LA. But the other side of my brain says, but that means you're asking to face the GOAT.
Okay.
And I just look at the Bucs and I say, listen, I feel like if you could take Gronk away from Brady, what else does he really have? And but at the end of the day, it's Brady. And frankly, I thought back when the Eagles weren't playing very well, they still hung in the game against the Bucs. And I'd like to think that they've learned a few things since that team that played them then. The Rams, I look at the Rams and I say, listen, I'm not afraid of the Rams. I don't like having to go all the way cross country. That being said, the only guy that scares me over there is Cooper Kupp. So again, if you can find a way to have Slay take him out of the game, you got a chance to beat that team, because Stafford right now is he's sharing the pigskin with the other team. And I think that's something you can try to exploit. But honestly, guys, though, my biggest fear going into the playoffs, I just don't know how much I can trust Jonathan Gannon, to put in a good system. I feel like he's come a long way from where they were. I just, against a good quarterback, they have not played well this year. And granted, they haven't faced a good quarterback in a while, but that's what you're going to see in the playoffs. So I think the Eagles can beat any team they're going to play in the first round. That being said, I think they also could get blown out if they're not careful by any team that they could meet in the first round.
Scott, it's like me and you talked an hour ago before we came on the air, because everything you said, me and Pete were talking about, and I agree with literally everything you said. And like you said, we're not so sure about our defensive coordinator going into this first game, but at least he's already played Tampa once, so it's already in his head. He's already got some pictures, cameras to go back on. I feel more comfortable, believe it or not, playing against Tampa Bay. Same thing, even though it's Tom Brady. I get all that. But if I had to pick one or the other, I'd rather go to Tampa.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, my head tells me two different things. That's the team that I think you have a good chance to beat. You see these teams that come out of playing in the Super Bowl the year before, and what happens? They start fizzling out late in the season. Tampa's got some issues. Obviously, the Antonio Brown stuff going on and the drama down there is going to linger as well. We'll see what happens today, guys. Bottom line, they're in the playoffs. I think they match up decently against any of the 4 teams that they could play. And, I think just sit back and at this point, they're playing with house money. Let's see what happens. You got nothing to lose. You got a playoff appearance out of this, and it should be fun.
It should be. He's Scott Grayson. You can check him out, Grayson's Grades, on 97.3 ESPN, plus watch his work on the TV on Fox 29, as you'll be on there tonight, I presume.
Yes, I will. Yes. Actually,
Excellent.
We're going to be breaking down the playoff matchup. We'll know exactly who they're playing, when they're playing, and where they're playing by the end of the fourth 25 games or so.
That's what we like to hear. All right. Follow him on Twitter at @SGrayson, Fox 29. And Scott, say a few prayers for Carlin and I. Maybe a special one for Billy, since he was so distraught over the Cowboys hanging 51 points.
Poor Billy.
He couldn't show up today.
Yeah, obviously that really hit him hard.
All right, Scott. Take care, buddy. Scott Grayson, our guest here, as always, here on the
Thanks,
Locker Room.
Scott.
Appreciate it, bud.
Good to talk to you guys. Have a good one.
Scott Grayson, of course, joins us on the Maserati of the Main Line hotline. He's our guest here on the Locker Room each and every Sunday at 10:15. Folks, first hour of the Locker Room powered by Surety Title. Surety provides comprehensive title insurance protection and professional settlement services for home buyers and sellers, real estate agents and brokers, lenders, home builders, and developers and attorneys to facilitate real estate purchases. Surety is an industry-wide leader with a team of experts that will help you throughout the entire process, from contract signing to closing, from the shore to Center City, and every place in between. Surety Title is there for you. 15 office locations in New Jersey and PA. That's Surety Title. For more information about Surety Title Company, please call Ron Conklin at 856-988 8900. Friends, let me tell you about Maserati, the main line. They helped have Scott Grayson on with us just now. Located just minutes from downtown Philadelphia, they offer a client-focused car buying experience designed to exceed expectations, and they invite you to stop in and see the area's largest selection of new Maseratis, including the sporty Ghibli mid-sized sedan and Levante, the only SUV worthy of being called a Maserati. Maserati, the main line, also leads the nation in certified pre-owned sales and has the highest quality like new Maseratis available on the market. Your experience does not end at the point of sale, as Maserati, the main line, offers free pickup and delivery for scheduled service appointments and complimentary new Maserati loaner cars. So be audacious. Call Maserati, the main line today, 484-804-4800. That's 484-804-4800, or visit them online anytime at motml.com. When we return on the Locker Room, Pete Thompson and Mike Carlin with you. Billy Schweim nursing his Eagles loss, depression, or whatever it may be. But when we return on the other side, we'll continue our conversation about who you'd like to see the Eagles face in the playoffs. Hey, the Cowboys starters beat the Eagles backups. Yeah, Mike, sorry about that. Who cares? He said into his microphone. It's the Locker Room here on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. And welcome back to the locker room here on 97.3 ESPN. Pete Thompson, Colonial Mike Carlin with you, PW's finest. Let's just do a little walk down memory lane here. What do you think here? Like 8-track at this point in your life?
Definitely an 8-track.
What year did you graduate?
81.
81? Let's see if I can figure out what year this song came out.
Ooh.
Or this album came out.
83.
This came out, 1979.
Ooh, well.
So you're like a sophomore at PW.
Yeah, I'm still learning the hallways.
Not driving yet.
Actually,
probably not.
Guess what?
Illegally driving?
Guess what, Pete? Ready for this one? I drove in 9th grade.
Is that right?
I drove to my 9th grade dance.
This is hilarious. So you drove it to your 9th grade dance.
Yeah, I pulled up with the teachers.
Like, come and get me, coppers.
No, I was 16.
Oh, you were?
I was 16 in 9th grade.
Oh, how did you pull that off?
My birthday was April 6th. I turned 6. I did first grade twice because the teacher said she needed me to come back to help out with the class the following year. So I just had to come back and do it again.
Oh, the things you find out on a Sunday morning after the Eagles get waxed by the Cowboys. Mike Carlin in studio with us. Billy Schweim is licking his wounds. He's so upset that the Eagles got worked that bad. He's just beside himself. He can't handle it. So he'll be back next week, though, in time for the playoff talk and all the playoff discussion. 51-26. I got to tell you, Mike Carlin, as that score started jacking up more and more, like, listen, 7-0, that was nice, although I had to figure out who the heck Tyree Jackson was. That did not instantly jump out. I thought it was a tight end. Then I was like, wait, who's 80? I just couldn't figure out who it was that caught the touchdown. And then the Kenny Gainwell, that was a nice run. Like when Kenny Gainwell, and that went away from me, but when he had his 7-yard touchdown run and tied things up at 17 with only, a little bit to go, it was 3:40 left, I think, in a half at that point. You're sitting there thinking, I can't believe our backups
they were playing tough
with these guys.
Yeah, they were playing really, really good.
Now, it didn't help. Like one of those touchdowns came off a Minshew mistake or, a picked off by, I think it was Leighton Vander Esch that had the interception. But either way, quickly, like it was 17-17, and then all of a sudden it was 30-17.
It was over.
And the Cowboys were getting the ball to start the third quarter. And that was basically it. Interesting game for a former Eagle, Corey Clement, last night. He had some big runs.
It was great seeing him, actually. And did you hear? I mean, you were there, so you heard some of the crowd were actually cheering for him. Not too many times you have Philadelphia cheering for a Dallas player, but there's something about him that the Philadelphia people do like and remember.
And they remember what he did in that Super Bowl season and how he basically came off the street. So yes, that was a big thing for Corey Clement to be able to come in and do that. And I think you're right. I think the Eagles were the Eagles fans were patient with him. On the text message board, we're asking you who you'd rather face in the playoffs. Now, I cut it down to 2 teams. Scott Grayson accurately pointed out there's about 4 possibilities, but really for the purposes of discussion here on the radio,
it's 2.
I'd like to talk about the Bucs and the Rams. Mike Carlin wants to see the Bucs. I'd rather see the Rams. Who would you rather see? 609-403-0973. Now, this text message says, Pete, I'd rather play the Rams. The Eagles did flat out quit after that JJ drop. And then he says, keep playing the Beatles. That's better than any Billy Police intro. Oh, Billy's listening. That's going to hurt him right there. And then Joey D, he's a great texter. Thank you, Joe. He says, hi, guys. If this game meant anything, I wouldn't have slept last night, especially the way we lost against Dallas. But who cares? Their starters beat up on our practice squad, JV squad. So what? Now it's for real. It doesn't matter to me who we play. It's going to be good competition from now on. Go Birds. That's a good point. And that's what you and I talked about in the first 20 minutes of the show is that, it doesn't matter if it's Tom Brady or if it's Matt Stafford. Both of them have great numbers this season. Both of them are tearing it up. Both of them, I mean, they're going to be a high seed for a reason. But there are a couple things I wanted to talk about before we take another break real quick. And this kind of came up subtly. First, I knew that Jason Kelce had extended his streak last night. I think it's 122 now that Jason Kelce for starts. 122 consecutive regular season contests. So he took literally 1 or 2 snaps.
One snap
and out. right? So, in fact, I said to somebody in the stands, I didn't even see when Jason Kelsey came out, and the guy in front of me goes, he had one snap, and that was it. But the single season rushing record, they announced that in the stadium the minute it happened. With 149 yards, they now have the franchise record, 2,714 rushing yards. That breaks the mark set way back in 1949. And they tied the single team record for rushing TDs because they're at 25 now. So listen.
Did you think we'd be talking about that today after the first 5 games?
Well, to me, the low point of the season was the Vegas game. So no, there's no way in HE double hockey sticks I thought we were going to talk about rushing records or running the football. And look, Jason Huntley had 51 yards on 13 carries last night. To me, God forbid somebody gets hurt, then Huntley's going to have to come in. But to me, I loved Huntley more than Rager, but you only get so many spots on the 53, right. So, I mean, is that really a decision you're going to make? But I loved Huntley running the football. I thought that was outstanding. Plus, Devontae Smith, his 3 passes for 41 yards. That means that he breaks the record for Eagles rookie receiving yards. 916 breaks it. Deshaun Jackson had 912. So, that's a great debut. Look, I think all the questions have been answered about Devontae Smith. Everybody that said he was undersized, everybody that said he's not an NFL player.
He can play.
I think he can not only play, I think he can change the impact of the game, big time. Hey, folks, the first hour of the Locker Room Pure, powered by Surety Title. Surety provides comprehensive title insurance and professional settlement services for home buyers and sellers, real estate agents and brokers, lenders, home buyer, builders, and developers and attorneys to facilitate real estate purchases. Surety is an industry-wide leader with a team of experts that will help you through the entire process from contract signing to closing. From the shore to Center City and every place in between, Surety Title is there for you. 15 office locations in New Jersey and PA. That's Surety Title. For more information about the Surety Title Company, contact Ron Conklin at 856-988-8900. Folks, just about everybody in our area has now heard of Jersey Man and Philly Man magazine. They are run by ex-Philadelphia Eagle tight end Ken Dunnick. But were you aware of their private business network they call the Legacy Club? Each month, they hold private events at upscale locations in Philadelphia and South Jersey that attract 200-plus top business people. Hashtag networking. Hashtag good opportunity. If you have an interest in attending one of these events to see if it's a fit for your business, just send an email to Ken at jerseymanmagazine.com. That's KEN at jerseymanmagazine.com, or call 856-912-4007 for more information. Pete Thompson, Mike Carlin with you here on the Locker Room on 97.3 ESPN. When we come back on the other side, we'll wrap up the first hour of the show. Plus, in the second hour, we've got Brian Hartley, the fantasy guru, and I've already gotten a text message, Mike Carlin, from Brad Quast, who may or may not be seeing Ben Roethlisberger's final NFL game. Ooh. He is down in Baltimore to watch the Ravens Steelers. Of course, he's there working. He's not down there throwing back the tall boys like the PT was.
After the game.
No, I actually didn't drink that much. All right, it's the Locker Room here on 97.3 ESPN and the mobile app. And welcome back to the locker room here on 97.3 ESPN. Pete Thompson, Mike Carlin, and with you until 12 o'clock when we turn things over to a triple header of coverage for NFL football.
Big day.
No Eagles today because they played last night. Well, somebody played last night. You know, listen, I'm okay with them.
It's an extra day rest.
You know,
do we know if we play Saturday or Sunday?
You don't know that either.
Yeah, so we could get an extra day rest.
And in fact, this is the first time I think they're going to do a Monday night playoff game, correct?
I saw that. Yep.
One game. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just
imagine if we get a Monday night game.
Then you get more rest. But I don't know, now I'm being selfish. For me, a Monday night football, listen, I teach, man. I got to get up at 5 a.m. I don't want that game starting any later than it has to.
Actually, you don't want to be a Monday night for your Eagles because even if you win, you're going to be on the road the following week, and that's an extra day travel day for you.
Very much so.
Yeah.
A lot of good things that did come out of last night's game, despite the fact that the Eagles got waxed 51-26. Your final one thing that was texted to me today, actually, one of the gentlemen that went to the game with me sent me a text, a very nice text. I'll actually read this one word for word. He said, and I quote, thanks again for inviting us to the game. It was definitely a treat. And please tell your dad I'm very thankful. We were in my dad's seats to have had the opportunity. It's always great hanging with Mikey, too. That's my girlfriend's son. And at the end of the game, this gentleman said he thought to himself, I don't think I've ever seen that score before. Did you know, Mike Carlin, that is the first time in the history of the National Football League that there has been a 51-26 final?
I did not know that.
Ever.
I did not know
Ever.
That. Yeah.
It's one of those things, too. You don't
exact score, just that 51-26.
Right, that 51-26. Yeah. I mean, if you're trying to, let's say, instead of just a meaningless Week 18 game, it was a Super Bowl box game, I mean.
Is it a save a ticket kind of game? Like,
no.
I was there when they scored 56-21.
I love that you said that because, there are no tickets anymore. It's all mobile ticketing.
It's old school.
Which I hate.
Yeah.
I like a ticket. Do you have a cup somewhere, or do you have like a drawer that has old tickets in it that you just have chucked aside, or do you throw them out?
You're gonna love this.
Okay,
not sports related, but I've only kept 2 tickets
in your life
in my top drawer.
Okay,
they're both from George Thorogood tickets.
Oh, no kidding.
Okay,
that's pretty funny.
That tells you something about me.
Right, that tells you about your passion for George Thorogood.
And one of them is signed by George. Oh, that's why I have it.
And that's why you have that. And what about the other one?
The other one is when he came to Ocean City, and I'll never forget it. Okay. He came right to my town.
Played the music pier. Right, and you had good seats.
I was in the second row, dead center.
Yeah, and you're not a short gentleman, so I'm sure you're able to see everything.
And I didn't care who was behind me. And all I'll say is, by the end of the show, I was in the first row.
Yeah,
with no one stopping me.
I believe that. Who was gonna now? But you've never met him. What would you?
I've met him a couple times.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm in his fan club.
Oh okay. Do they have a name for the fans?
That you probably losers, as my wife would say. You're a loser.
No, I thought the song was "Get a Haircut and Get a Real Job."
Get a real job. Yeah, that's his brother's. He's singing about his brother.
Oh, is that who he is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, I don't have enough hair to cut anymore, but I still go and exercise that out. It's the locker room here on 97.3 ESPN. That was Mike Carlin. PW's Mike Carlin. I like to call him because he and I, ironically enough, both went to the same high school, Plymouth Whitemarsh in Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania. So he is joining us for the next hour as well. He's in here, and Billy is licking his wounds. Billy and Brad did have a nice remote yesterday. Billy wanted me to extend to the listeners and to the people on the StreamYard and everybody his sincere thanks for all the people that did show up, that came out to support the show.
Said it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, so they were very pleased with how things went. But yeah, perhaps with the 51-26 result, Billy decided to rest in a little bit. He sent me a text this morning and said, "You got this."
Do you think it was because of a late night, or the late night and maybe a couple cocktails?
Oh, that's always possible too. That's always possible too. I mean, who knows? Perhaps the Edo Smith 4-yard run put him over the top when they made it 44-20, or perhaps when Jaquan Hartley. I mean, who are these guys? When Jaquan Hartley scored the touchdown to make it 51-20. I mean, that's when I saw that thing go up and the Zerline kick go through to make it 51. That's where my girlfriend's son Michael gave me that look like, can we effing leave
Yeah, can we
is
get
what
out
he
of
was
here?
trying to
Beat
say.
the traffic.
Beat the traffic. Listen, anybody that goes to the games now knows there's no way to beat the traffic.
Yeah.
We
That is
parked
true.
in the Jetro lot last night. We actually had a parking pass, and they sent us all the way down by the river.
Oh,
You can't
boy.
make a left on Front Street. You couldn't make a left on Delaware Avenue. You couldn't do any of that.
It's like one way in, one way
It
out.
was it was like going to Penn State. It was one of the dumbest damn things I've ever seen. Now, I wasn't driving, so I was just happy to be in a hot car. All right, 1 hour down, 1 hour still to go here on the Locker Room. In the next hour, we'll catch up with Brian Hartley. He's our fantasy guru, brought to you by Stell Exteriors. Maybe you still got some daily fantasy questions out there. Plus, we'll find out how Hartley did in his leagues. And at 11:30, Brad Quast, former Eagle, former Iowa Hawkeye, joins us from Baltimore as he's down there to see the Ravens and the Steelers. We'll get his unique thoughts. You're listening to The Locker Room. Pete Thompson, Mike Carlin, filling in for Billy Schweim on 97.3 ESPN. And a good Sunday morning to you. I am not Billy Schweim. Thank God for that. I am Pete Thompson, live in studio with Mike Carlin here on 97.3 ESPN. Billy is, I'm saying he's licking his wounds.
There's only one Billy.
He's that's true. Wait, there I am laughing. That's me. I can't even laugh like Billy, but Pete, come on, man. Stop taking shots at me. You know I'm listening.
Yeah.
Pete, you read the sponsors out of order. Pete, you're not doing it right.
No, I actually got a text. We're doing a good job.
Oh, really?
It wasn't a great job. We're doing a good job. Okay.
The only thing that could have been
I'm
worse,
hoping by the end of the show it turns to you guys did a great job.
You're doing an adequate job. Yeah, gee, thanks. Hey, the best part of ability is being available, right? Availability.
Hey, the one thing about Billy, I've only been doing this now for 2 months, but I can catch on quickly. For him not to be here, it's something big.
Oh yeah, legit.
He's
Absolutely.
under the weather, or whatever you want to call it.
No,
he's a professional, and there's a reason.
I kid because I know care. That. Yeah, I kid because I care. Hey, there was some breaking news in that first hour, and as I'm hitting every button over here to keep us on the air, the Broncos have fired their head coach Vic Fangio.
Oh, that's quick.
Yeah,
so they didn't wait till Monday.
No,
they
didn't have to. They played last night and lost, and gave everything they could against the Chiefs and still lost. That's enough. That's all they need to see. So Vic Fangio is out, and of course, we did have somebody ask about the playoff scenarios, right? And it is a little convoluted in this Week 18. The final NFC and AFC wildcard spots, the division titles are on the line. I know you are licking your chops for that Chargers and Raiders game later tonight, the late game tonight, as you can't wait to see. That's a win and you're in scenario. I'll just real quickly recap. In the NFC, 6 teams have already clinched spots. The Packers are the number 1 seed, the division champion Buccaneers and Cowboys. Now the NFC West title is up for grabs, and that last wild card spot is up for grabs, and there's 2 teams looking to clinch that. So in the AFC, it's Titans, Chiefs, and Bengals. They've clinched their respective divisions. Either the Bills or the Patriots will get the AFC East title, and then the Titans actually, look, right now, as I sit here, Mike Carlin, and talk to you right now on Sunday morning, the Chiefs are the number 1 seed.
Yep.
But if the Titans win, then they vault them and they become the number 1
imagine
seed.
what they've done without Henry, and now all of a sudden Henry's back and they got a chance to be the number 1 seed.
Yeah, it's pretty unbelievable. And I don't know if have they already said if Henry's out till the playoffs, or is he?
I thought he was playing today.
No, I don't think he's playing today.
Or then he's coming back for the playoffs.
That's what I think. I think he's going to come back.
I know. I heard something.
And certainly, and there's 5 others that are still in contention for the 2 wild card spots in the AFC. And then, of course, I already hinted once at this, the Chargers and the Raiders game, that's a win and you're in game, and you'll be able to hear that right here on 97.3 ESPN. So, yeah, a lot of interesting games out there. Are you a red zone guy? Because Mike Gill is not a red zone guy. He likes to just lock in on, what the games are. Do you have the red zone or no?
I do. Be honest with you, I don't watch a lot of it, though, but I have it.
Because if you're just watching on Mike Carlin TV or Billy TV or the old school TV, Pittsburgh at Baltimore will be on CBS 3. And yes, that's on our air as well, 97.3 ESPN. That's our first game today. The Fox game is, of course, and this makes sense, the NFC East game between the Washington football team and the Giants.
Yep.
Then the 4:25 games, you've got, depending on where you are in the listening area, you might be able to get Carolina and Tampa Bay, or you could get the San Francisco and Rams game. And
that's going to be a good game.
Is
that's
also
a game to watch.
You'll be able to hear
and
on 97.3 ESPN.
Right.
Yes, that
means something. The Giants in the game. Who cares about that?
Very much so. So that's a 4:25 game. And then, of course, the big one we're talking about, the Sunday night game, Chargers at Vegas. That's on 97.3. So the triple header, just to recap, Pittsburgh at Baltimore at 1, San Francisco at the Rams is at 4:25, and then the Chargers at Vegas is the late game tonight. Certainly a lot of fun here on 97.3 ESPN.
Two big things with what you just talked about.
Okay.
Could be Big Ben's last game.
Yeah.
Okay.
But at least
and our boy Brad's there.
Was that too much for you in the Monday night game? Was that too over the top?
No.
I mean,
no, he deserves it.
I thought so.
And he's at home. I loved it. I loved how he ran around the stadium and saying goodbye to people. He's never going to see them again.
Mm-hmm.
until he gets his jacket, until he goes into the Pittsburgh Hall of Fame and all that kind of stuff. And that takes years.
Just the Pittsburgh, or do you think?
Oh no, he's first.
He's going Canton too, right?
Somebody gets his jacket, he'll be there back. But getting back to the AFC, if I asked you who's the surprise team for you on who we're talking about, who would you? I have a team that stands out that seems no one talks about, and here they are.
Probably the Bengals,
Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unbelievable.
Right. Well, first of all, Jamar Chase won me my fantasy league championship with his 67-point performance the other week. But Joe Burrow has been legit, and Cincinnati is
coming back from injury. I mean, no one was talking about them being what they are. Not just making the playoffs, they're winning their league.
Yeah, they're winning their
division.
Yeah, and so they right now, if it doesn't change, which it probably will, but right now, the Chiefs would get the first round bye. Now the Titans would move in there, and the Chiefs would slide down to play the Chargers as the 2 seed. But Bengals look like they're locked in to play the Colts. Bengals a 3 seed at home against the Colts. And then the Patriots Bills, that's a flip-flop. Like, whoever wins gets the home playoff game, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're basically trying to decide to see who gets the AFC East title. And would you rather play in Buffalo or Western New York, or would you rather play at Foxborough? I mean, that's your question there. Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of scenarios, and Scott Grayson, we've got that up as our text message question of the day, if you will. And that is, who would you rather play? If you're listening as an Eagles fan, who would you rather see the Eagles play? And for purposes of discussion, I just narrowed it down to 2 because look, there's some other scenarios. There's actually 4 possibilities of teams they could play, but to me, it's either going to be the Bucs or the Rams. Those are the strongest possibilities. And Dan from EHT, 609-403-0973, he says, just play the Bucs and get rid of them in the first round. Thank you, Dan. I'm okay with that. Mike Carlin, if you missed in the first hour, he says he's okay with playing the Bucs because
I think the Eagles are better than the Bucs right now. I look at teams that are on momentum. Forget about last night's game. I don't even think the Eagles played last night, in my mind. They're getting ready for the playoffs. I think with everything's happening with Tampa Bay right now, I think the Eagles can get down to Tampa Bay. It's not going to be easy, but the way we're running the ball, the way we're controlling the clock, keep Brady off the field. They have some problems going on in that locker room, and I don't think everything's coming out of the locker room that we hear about, but we're hearing enough. I just don't think Tampa Bay this year is not what they were last year.
I think the Rams are my choice, although I do have nightmares of Cooper Kupp just running all over them and decimating the Eagles secondary if they have to go to L.A. I think, and I don't have the stats in front of me, but I know that I saw that the Eagles have been very successful playing at the Rams, like whether it's been Los Angeles or even their history against the St. Louis Rams, that they've been very successful when they've played at the Rams. And I just think Stafford is more, I don't, and I wasn't initial to this. I was sort of leaning toward Tampa, but then when I saw those numbers, and I read these in the first hour and I'll read them again, when I saw what Tom Brady's numbers are against the Eagles in his history, whether it's been with the Buccaneers or whether it's been with the Patriots, I just sit there and think, are you kidding me?
Staggering.
You're going to welcome this? He has a passer rating of 92.7 with 1,821 yards, 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions in 6 games against the Eagles in his career. Even when the Eagles won the Super Bowl,
right.
Mike Carlin, on the very last throw, until that ball hit the turf in Minneapolis, you thought maybe they had a chance.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, he didn't shake Nick Foles' hand and he ran off like a little bee. And, a couple more nuggets from the game last night. So we talked about Jason Kelce, 122 consecutive regular season starts. That's the longest active streak among NFL centers. The longest streak by an NFL center since Chris Myers did it in 2007 to 14. That's 123. So he's only one away from that. 5th longest start streak in team history. John Runyon had 144. Herm Edwards had 135. Jerry Sizemore, 127. Randy Logan, 124. And he's also tied for 9th most games played. I mean, this guy through and through is a Philadelphia Eagle.
You know what you didn't catch by being at the game that we caught as
on the broadcast?
On broadcast? When his backup went in and he got hurt.
Was Landon Dickerson.
All the cameras were back on him on the sidelines.
Right.
His eyes got really big.
Yeah.
But it was like, oh God, who's what's going to happen now?
Right. Is he going to go in or what's he going to do? Yeah.
And then they bought, trying to think of his name, it's just one blank. But they brought another guy in to play center.
Right.
But when he got hit, the cameras immediately were at the Kelsey.
Yeah.
To see what he was thinking.
Jake Elliott at 134 points this season. Jake Elliott quietly had a good year, regardless of what, again, you're only one missed field goal away from being vilified in this town, but 134 is a solid year. Cody Parkey at 150 in 2014. David Akers at 144. David Akers was solid the whole way through. Caleb Sturgis had 135, but this is the stat for Elliott to me. Remember, there were some questions about Jake Elliott. He's made 53 of his last 54 kicks dating back to week 8. That's pretty darn good, in my opinion.
Is anybody better? I mean, has anybody been perfect
in the league?
Yeah, I bet she's number one.
I'm sure Elias would have to, the stat bureau or my man Boop.
I mean, if you only miss one,
Bob Vitrone
I don't
Jr.
think anybody's.
It's been a weird year for kickers and extra, because the extra point is no longer a given anymore, right? Field goals.
How about last night? I mean, Dallas last night, what they showed to me were two things.
Mm-hmm.
Still having starters on the field in the fourth quarter,
right?
Where if someone would have gotten hurt, imagine the heat that coach would have caught.
Oh yeah,
I mean that would. And talking about kickers,
McCarthy, yeah,
you're talking about kickers. Another missed extra point.
Yeah,
that's going to hurt you in the playoffs. Okay, that just can't happen moving forward.
But
it keeps happening for them week after week.
It's been a weird year for kickers. Nobody will speak more to that than our next guest. That's Brian Hartley, our fantasy guru. On the other side is, maybe your league is finished, but maybe there's some daily fantasy out there for you to get involved with and be a part of. Folks, the second hour of the locker room is brought to you by the Great Bay Country Club, where it's not just golf, it's fun. Make Great Bay Country Club your club. Great Bay is an award-winning private golf club where you're greeted by name. It's home of the 3-hour and 58-minute round. You can play on their 18-hole championship golf course, enjoy fine dining, or experience the lively atmosphere in the pub. There's a full calendar of golf and social events throughout the season that appeals to everyone. Join today. For more information, go to greatbay.com or call them at 609-927-5071. Great Bay Country Club in Summers Point, where it's always a great day at Great Bay. Folks, have you heard of My Winter Watchdog? It's New Jersey's premier vacant home management service, My Winter Watchdog. Those worrisome thoughts that creep in your mind every time you hear of a storm coming, or the daunting task of having to drive down the shore to check on your house and all that time spent on the road. We had storms on Monday. We had unexpected amounts of snow that came in and walloped the shoreline, and then we had more snow on Friday. What if you had someone to ease your burden? Let My Winter Watchdog be your eyes and ears with their 15-point inspection checklist. They offer a full menu of maintenance and improvement services. Owner Debbie McGonigal and her team of property caretakers are professional, licensed, bonded, and insured. So don't let the winter worry you. They'll give your house that lived-in look. That's My Winter Watchdog. Go to mywinterwatchdog.com or call them at 267-202-1869. We're looking for who you'd rather play. If you're an Eagles fan out there and listening to Mike Carlin and I on the radio, we'd like to know who you'd rather play. We've narrowed it down for you. There's 4 possibilities, but we're saying either the Bucs or the Rams. Who would you rather play and why? Who would you rather play and why? Text us at 609-403-0973, 609-403-0973. On the flip side, we'll catch up with Brian Hartley, our fantasy guru, brought to you by Stella Exteriors. That's when the locker room rolls on 97.3 ESPN. And welcome back to the locker room here on 97.3 ESPN. Pete Thompson, Mike Carlin with you here on a week 18 in the NFL. You know this one, Mike? Have you ever heard it?
Yeah.
Kind of 90s, kind of peppy.
I'm stuck in the 70s. I'm a 70s guy.
Yeah, you're
but I know this song.
Yeah, look, I was trying to find breakfast themes. You know, this is back when I used to actually have the Pete Thompson show that I came up with some of this playlist. And for anybody that, you know, maybe isn't a Gordon Sumner fan or a Police fan, you know, Breakfast at Tiffany's, it's a breakfast theme. You know, I got some breakfast theme songs here as we take you until noon on 97.3 ESPN, and then we have a triple header of NFL coverage today. Listen, I don't know about you, Mike Carlin, but I won my fantasy football league, my big money league, thanks in large part to our next guest, okay? He
big money.
Each week he comes on and first of all, I mean, he has to put up with Billy, but secondly, he comes on and gives good knowledge and drops good fantasy information. And I was able to win my big money league, and then I came in second in the 97.3 league. And look, that happens sometimes. And this has been one of those years, Mike Carlin, where it's been just a chore to figure out who to start and who to sit because
who's going to get sick.
Yeah, the COVID, the pandemic, and all this stuff. I mean, you just don't know who's going to play. Now, if you're like me, both my leagues are wrapped up, but there is daily fantasy. There also is some leagues that are still going as well. And so he's going to join us now on the Maserati the Mainline hotline. It's Brian Hartley, the fantasy football guru, brought to you by Stell Exteriors. They've been providing professional roofing and siding at affordable prices since 1996. Did you know that only 2% of roofing contractors qualify as a GAF Master Elite installer? So if you do the math, choosing Stell Exteriors takes 98% of the worry out. That's Stell Exteriors, 636 West Avenue, Ocean City. Give them a call, 609-399-1010. That's 609-399-1010. All right. And without further ado, Hartley joins us now on the Maserati the Mainline hotline. Brian Hartley, it's week 18. I know you're thrilled. And, of course, your first comment is, where's Billy?
Yeah. No, my first comment is, who's Tiffany and where am I meeting her for breakfast?
That's right. I'm sure you know a few joints over there in OC, right?
Absolutely. We got plenty of great places here in town. I always love going out.
So, Hartley, you are a smart man. You did not go and freeze your took us off last night. And I know you have tickets. I know there's Playland tickets, right? You did not go and sit there and watch a glorified exhibition game last night.
I did not. You know, I watched the game at our favorite drinking establishment there at Summers Point. Great time. You know what? It wasn't the outcome I think we all wanted, but the game didn't really mean a whole lot to the Eagles, so I'll take it for what it was. I enjoyed watching the guys that played. Gainwell did fine. Minshew did fine. You know, we're in good shape going into the playoffs, and I'm looking forward to that next weekend.
So before we get into your fantasy picks for Week 18, Brian Hartley, what were some of your positive takeaways from that Eagles game last night? You hit on a couple of them there. And then the second thing, more importantly, let me ask you, because I've just boiled it down to this. I mean, mathematically, there's like 4 possibilities who the Eagles can play in the playoffs, but I've just got it down to Bucs and Rams because those are the most likely. Who do you think they stack up better with, Bucs or Rams, and why?
I got to be honest with you. I like the Rams matchup better. I know their offense or their defensive front is ridiculous right now. They've been playing great, but you know what? Matthew Stafford can go either way. He could have a day, or he could throw 4 interceptions. And I think the Eagles defense would stack up well against that offense. You know, Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, even though they're banged up as well, that guy just doesn't lose. And I can't see us going down to Tampa Bay and beating him. So I'm going to take my chances against the Rams. I like that matchup much, much better. And I definitely could see the Eagles beating them next weekend.
Mike Carlin, do you want to come on top of that real quick before we get into his fantasy picks? Because Mike's on the opposite side of the coin, Hartley.
Hey, everybody's got their own pick. Okay.
That's your come on top argument?
Well, we can go back and forth. I mean, he knows, he feels comfortable what he's saying. I'm feeling comfortable what I'm saying. I think either way, the Eagles could really have a good chance of stealing the first round.
First round. All right.
I
think we all agree on that. I'll put this in, Hartley, in your ear before you get into your fantasy predictions for today. Tom Brady has a passer rating of 92.7 with 1,821 yards, 1,821 yards, 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions in his 6 games against the Eagles in his career. And there's people out there, Hartley, who are like, yeah, I want Tom Brady. What are you, nuts?
I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't ever want to play Tom Brady, to be honest with you. I don't care if he's 25 or 45. You know what? That guy just consistently is a winner. Again, I know they got a lot of issues they're dealing with right now. You know, I think they're going to get Fournette back in the first round, which is going to change a lot as far as their running game goes. They're down some wide receivers, but the guy just always seems to pull it out. So Matthew Stafford is proven to just kind of crumble under pressure. He hasn't really been in the playoffs. I'm going to take my odds and my chances there.
So Brian Hartley's with us, our fantasy football guru. He's here courtesy of Stell Exteriors. It is week 18. Daily fantasy is out there. Plus, some teams are still going. Here, let me hit the music. There we go, Hartley. Tell us about your picks for week 18.
All right. Definitely a lot of leagues still going in this final week. I know my league is over. Pete, we talked about it. Your league is over. You finished first. I finished second in mine. So we all came out winners in the end here. But at quarterback this week, I like a lot of guys this week that are playing for things. I like Kirk Cousins going against Chicago. Taysom Hill, they need the win, going against Atlanta, who just gives it up. And I like Ryan Tannehill going against Houston today. That game, I think, is going to be closer than a lot of people think. I don't think Tennessee is going to blow them out. Houston's been playing really well. At running back, I like Rashad Penny, who's just been an absolute beast for fantasy owners down the stretch here, going against Arizona. James Conner against Seattle. Same thing, David Montgomery has been phenomenal the last few weeks against Minnesota. And I like Samaje Perine today, filling in for the injured Joe Mixon, out on the COVID list, I guess, not really injured, but solid fantasy back there. And I think he's going to put up some good numbers today. At wide receivers, a guy that's going to be definitely a top 10 wide receiver pick next year for fantasy, Ross St. Brown going against Green Bay. That guy has just come on, and he's playing with not ideal quarterback play and still putting up huge numbers. Cooper Kupp today, you know, they need the win to stay in the 2 seed. They're going against San Francisco, who does give it up in the air, and he's looking to set some records today. You know, right now he's looking at the Triple Crown, but I think he's trying to get the 2,000 yards. So look for him to get fed the ball a lot from Stafford. And I like Cyril Grayson going against Carolina for Tampa Bay. He's going to kind of be the new target. He kind of stepped up last week for Tom Brady, had a couple catches, and I think he's going to be a guy to kind of keep an eye on going into the playoffs in this last week of the season. So those are my picks for week 18, the final week of the fantasy football season.
Hartley, I love that you're always already giving us names to scout out for next year, too. Like, even though I'm counting my money, I like that. Hey, I saved one for you, Hartley. This little nugget for you and you only. 9 years ago yesterday, or maybe I guess technically 10 years ago yesterday, first of the year always messes with me. Do you know what happened on January 8th, 2012?
Whew.
NFL-wise.
That I do not. I do not.
You ready for this? On January 8th of 2012, Denver's Tim Tebow connected with Demaryius Thomas on an electrifying 80-yard touchdown pass on the first play of overtime, and the Broncos stunned the Pittsburgh Steelers 29-23 in an AFC wildcard game. The play, the longest to end a playoff game in overtime, took 11 seconds, and it was the quickest ending to an overtime in NFL history.
So, see, I don't remember the date, but I could tell you I was standing in the Rosen Center lobby in Orlando, right across from the convention center. I was working. I ran out when it went to overtime to sit in the bar and watch overtime, and saw that pass, and everybody just erupted. As a Broncos fan, it was huge. It was unbelievable. Didn't fare so well the next week, but hey, it was an exciting game, and they advanced.
I remember that like it was yesterday. All right, Hartley, listen, we love having you on. You're brought to us by Stell Exteriors, and thank you for all the tips and the tidbits throughout the season. Take care, Hartley. Take care of yourself.
Great job, Brian.
Have a great day, guys. Pete, congratulations.
Thanks, buddy. To you, too. All right, Brian Hartley, our fantasy football guru, brought to you by Stell Exteriors. They've been providing professional roofing and siding at affordable prices since 1996. Did you know that only 2% of roofing contractors qualify as a GAF Master Elite Installer? So if you do the math, choosing Stell Exteriors takes 98% of the worry out. That's Stell Exteriors, 636 West Avenue, Ocean City. Give them a call at 609-399-1010. That's 609-399-1010. 1010. Folks, the second hour of the locker room brought to you by the Great Bay Country Club, where it's not just golf, it's fun. Make Great Bay Country Club your club. Great Bay, an award-winning private golf club where you're greeted by name. It's home of the 3-hour and 58-minute round. You can play on their 18-hole championship golf course, enjoy fine dining, or experience the lively atmosphere in the pub. There's a full calendar of golf and social events throughout the season to appeal to everyone. Join today. For more information, go to greatbay.com or call them at 609-927-5071. Great Bay Country Club in Summers Point, where it's always a great day at Great Bay. And friends, let me tell you about Maserati of the Main Line, located just minutes from downtown Philadelphia. They offer a client-focused car buying experience designed to exceed expectations, and they invite you to stop in and see the area's largest selection of new Maseratis, including the sporty Ghibli midsize sedan and the class-leading Levante, the only SUV worthy of being called a Maserati. Maserati of the Main Line also leads the nation in certified pre-owned sales and has the highest quality like new Maseratis available on the market. Your experience does not end at the point of sale, as Maserati of the Main Line offers free pickup and delivery for scheduled service appointments and complimentary new Maserati loaner cars. So be audacious. Call Maserati of the Main Line today at 484-804-4800. That's 484-804-4800, or visit them anytime online at motml.com. I got to tell you, Mike Carlin, our next guest is so excited to be a part of the locker room that he's been blowing up the phone while I was reading those ads. We will get him on in the next segment as we take a break here and pay some bills, but that is Brad Quast, the former Eagle and former Iowa Hawkeye. He will join us on the Maserati of the Main Line hotline when the locker room with Pete Thompson and Mike Carlin rolls on after this. Hey, Brad, how's it going, buddy? Not much. Locker Room here on 97.3 ESPN. Pete Thompson, Mike Carlin with you on a Sunday, week 18. So, yes, 70s rock is you, but I'm trying to expand your horizons, Mike Carlin.
You're way over my head on this one.
Here, listen for the lyric. Listen for the lyric.
Okay.
That's it.
Pick a banana.
Making banana pancakes.
Ooh.
This is Jack Johnson, who all the girlies loved because he's like a Hawaiian surfer dude, but he sings like a dream. He had like he had bubble toes, he had banana pancakes, he had
banana pancakes.
He had a bunch of stuff. So yeah, again, continuing the breakfast theme. That's it. It's like it sounds. Doesn't he kind of remind you a little like Dave Matthews a little bit?
Yeah.
You know, but without like the saxophone or the harder stuff. Yeah, that's Jack Johnson. Okay, Billy Schweim is nursing his wounds from the Eagles loss last night, but Mike Carlin, Colonial Mike Carlin, I like to call him. He's a PW alum, such as, or the same as myself. He is with us, and now also joining us on the Maserati, the Mainline Hotline, our man and yours, former Eagle, former Iowa Hawkeye, Brad Quast, as he is down in Baltimore, the Queen City. Is that what they call it? The Queen City down there in Baltimore for Ravens Steelers. Quast, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, guys? It is cold here.
That was my first question to you, Brad. How cold is it?
Oh, Mike, it's cold. It's cold. It's cold and rainy, and
that's worse.
And it's fun. There's a lot of people. There's more Steelers fans here. I feel like I'm playing at Kinnick Stadium in like a Hawkeye colors. But it's a lot of Steelers fans are here. I think to two things: to see T.J. Watt break the record in Ben's last game. So it's going to be a pretty, eventful game.
So the inactives have come out already. Lamar Jackson is inactive, right? That's the big news as far as the Ravens go. The Steelers, I'll take a look at their inactives, but the Steelers have a lot to play for here, Brad Quast.
Yeah, they do. They brought everything with them, and you can just tell the look on their face pregame on the field. It's all business, and I think I haven't seen the other team come out yet, but I'll know with the first series who's kind of motivated and who's ready to play this game today.
You mentioned T.J. Watt. He needs 1.5 sacks to break Michael Strahan's single season mark of 22.5. Now that was set in a 16-game schedule. So let's start with that, Quast. You played the game, right?
Yeah,
now that there's this extra week, week, is it like get an asterisk?
Yeah, it is. It's an extra week, another game, and so it's hard to compare. A record's a record. I think he will break it today. I just hope it's not like Strahan when he broke his record. It was kind of uncontested.
That was a joke.
What did you say that was? Yeah. So, it was a joke. So I think he'll do it, and the Steeler fans will appreciate it because there's a lot of Steeler fans here.
You know what? As you guys bring that up, I now remember it was like a bullfight, right? Like Olay, like they just basically let him go in and touch their guy, like just so
it was like they tell them this is what we're going to run. Just run to the left, and you'll be able to touch me, and you'll get the sack record. It's like they told him everything.
Well, Mike, they actually did that. Really, that actually did happen. So I don't think it's going to be like that, but we'll see.
Hey, I have a question for you. I was just looking at the times. There's going to be a lot of scoreboard watching during your game, watching because they're both 1:00 games. So you have Indianapolis playing at Jacksonville at 1:00. Your game's at 1:00. Indianapolis can't win this game. Even if Pittsburgh wins, they need Indianapolis to lose today. So there's going to be a lot of scoreboard watching if you're a Pittsburgh fan.
Absolutely. There'll be, and it'll be funny too because they run the scores in the stadium throughout the league or do a game update, and you're going to see the reaction on the fans, and that'll tell it all. So it'll be fun to watch.
Good Lord, I wrote the Ravens off, but they actually mathematically have a chance. Like Mike Carlin was saying, the Ravens or the Steelers can make the playoffs as long as they beat the Ravens and Indianapolis loses to Miami. I think you said Jacksonville, but you were in the right state. So, and then
it is Jacksonville.
It says an Indianapolis lost to Miami. Who does Indianapolis play today?
They play at Jacksonville.
Oh, perhaps ESPN made a mistake. Either way, the Ravens, right? They would need, I mean, it's a crazy need. Baltimore would have to have a win, then they'd have to have a loss from the Chargers and the Colts and a loss or tie by the, I mean, for all intents and purposes, the Ravens are done. Hey, Quast, we've been asking all day today. Now there's 4 possibilities on who the Eagles could play in the playoffs. That's still Scott Grayson pointed that out in the first hour. And of course, by the way, Brad Quast joins us via the Maserati, the main line hotline. Brad, I've boiled it down to the Rams and the Bucks. Now I'll just tip the cap a little. Mike Carlin wants to see the Bucks. I've said I think they match up better against the Rams. What say you?
I would want to play the Bucks. I'd rather play the Bucks than the Rams.
Smart man, Brad.
I don't. They just match up better defensively. The Rams, they scare me. So I'd much rather play the Bucks. I don't like how the Eagles finished against the Cowboys the other night. I know the teams weren't playing each other, the 1s and 2s, and guys were playing that I've never even heard of. But it's not good momentum going into the playoffs. I know you want to rest your vets, but to get humiliated like that against the Cowboys, my competitiveness juices don't like that. I like to, go into the playoffs with a kind of a positive winning attitude.
Yeah, even if you just play for a quarter or two, you don't have to play the whole game, but at least get your body into the game, get used. I don't like being off for literally 2 weeks of not playing, especially going into the playoffs. I feel the same.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's not healthy because it's the same thing. You almost get comfortable again, and all the aches and bruises that you had, you get them, and then you get back in. It's almost like getting back in shape, and your body has a tough time adjusting to that. So
also think about in the past, even though we've had the last couple of games have been good games, every game we're getting off to a slow start. The first quarter is killing us, but we seem to come back in the second, third, and fourth and win the game. When you get into the playoffs,
although they took the lead last night and the whole stadium was excited when Tyree Jackson scored to make it 7-0.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
So the second team did it. But when you get into the playoffs, whether it's the Rams or the Bucks, if we're zeroing on those two, you can't have a bad first quarter and think you're just going to sneak right back into this game, especially on the road. That would scare me.
Like we talked about it. We talked about it at the show yesterday. The Eagles haven't beat a winning team, like a winning record. So we got to start playing better football, offensive, defense, and special teams. We're in the playoffs. Everybody's a winning team now. So we got to step it up.
Brad Quast with us on the Maserati, the mainline hotline. Just to accurately point out, of course, Mike Carlin is right. I am wrong. Yes, Indianapolis is at Jacksonville. That's a 1:00 game at TIAA Bank Field, and it's New England at Miami. So what we've done here, Mike Carlin, is we found a mistake on the mothership website. That just goes to
I won't
show
get in trouble, will I?
No. I mean, we're an ESPN affiliate. We can tell the mothership that they screwed up. But yeah. And then, of course, Brad's down for Pittsburgh at Baltimore. That's a 1:00 kickoff at M&T Bank Stadium. And you think, Brad, that you would rather see, just one more time, the Eagles match up better with who?
I would say Tampa. I like our chances better against Tampa than the Rams.
I'll slip something in real quick for us too. If it is Tampa, if you're a true fan and you live in South Jersey, guess what? I just looked it up.
What?
You can fly nonstop on Spirit for $42.
Yeah.
Can you get to Florida for $42? I'd fly down without bags, go to the game, and come back.
Yeah, but if they're playing Tampa, there won't be a seat available on that flight.
Well, that's the thing. If it's like right now, you can get a seat. As soon as it's announced they're playing Tampa, those seats will go up to $200.
They're gone.
Yeah,
they're gone. Exactly.
Plus, with this damn pandemic, you don't know if the plane's going to be there.
So listen, if you're smart, you book it today because you got 24 hours to cancel it. So you could book it today. If they don't go to Tampa, you just can't. You call tomorrow and say, I'm canceling my flight.
Quast, did you know that Mike Carlin was an amateur travel agent? Did you know that?
I don't know, but I'm gonna call him after the show and
it's a great idea. It's a great idea. We can fly to Tampa and come right back.
This is what I think you guys should do: Quast and Carlin together, like the odd couple, right? Yeah. Don't take Billy, by the way. You guys can be, now we can't pay for it, but you guys can be our field reporters down there at the Eagles Tampa game. Go down, come back.
All right. Well, on ESPN 9, will they pay for it?
Yeah. You know what? I'll pay for it.
I can do the $42. I can do the plane trip, and I got Hilton points, so we can stay to Hilton.
I'm only paying for the flights, by the way. You'll be staying at the Scrub Dub Motel, Showtel.
Oh boy,
right? It's the Motel 5. It's not good enough to be a 6. All right, Quast. Listen, we appreciate having you on. We know that you're busy down there too. Listen, try to stay dry if you can. Yep. Try to stay warm if you can. And then be in touch with us as we move forward. We're going to find out who the Eagles play and where they play and when they play as well.
Great, guys. Thanks for having me on, and Happy New Year to everybody.
To you too. You too, Brad Quast with us on the Maserati, the main line hotline, and he is that's awesome. That's so funny that you brought that up, because I would love, like, to be honest with you, I would love to send you two guys down, because you don't know each other that well, right?
No. We've never met, actually.
But, you know, they used to have a show on TNT called Men of a Certain Age, right?
Okay.
You guys, you're both about the same age.
Yeah.
You're both athletes. You know, he played maybe at a little higher level than you did. Basketball is your sport. Football is his sport. But I think the two of you could get.
And I know Tampa. My son went to Tampa.
I think the two of you.
I know Tampa inside out.
Yeah, you guys could get in some legitimate trouble and have a lot of fun. Hey, you're listening to The Locker Room here on 97.3 ESPN. Second hour of The Locker Room is brought to you by Great Bay Country Club, where it's always a great day at Great Bay. It's not golf, it's fun. Make Great Bay Country Club your club. Great Bay, an award-winning private golf club where you're greeted by name. It's home of the 3-hour, 58-minute round. You can play on their 18-hole championship golf course, enjoy fine dining, or experience the lively atmosphere in the pub. There's a full calendar of golf and social events throughout the season to appeal to everyone. Join today. For more information, go to greatbay.com or call them at 609-927-5071. Great Bay Country Club in Summers Point, where it's always a great day at Great Bay. Folks, just about everybody in our area has heard of Jersey Man and Philly Man magazine. It's run by ex-Philadelphia Eagle tight end Ken Dunnick, but were you aware of their private business network they call the Legacy Club? Each month they hold private events at upscale locations in Philadelphia and South Jersey that attract 200-plus top business people. Great opportunity to network and mingle and get your brand out. If you have an interest in attending one of these events to see if it's a fit for your business, send an email to ken@jerseymanmagazine.com. That's KEN at JERSEYMANMAGAZINE.com, or call 856-912-4007 for more information. Yes, sir. Mike Carlin, what do you got over there?
We got to talk about Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
Alabama coming up.
I'm glad you held that up. On the other side, we'll talk about Georgia, Alabama. We got a couple text messages to read about who our listeners would like to see in the playoffs, the Rams or the Bucks, and more. That's all on the other side as you're listening to The Locker Room with Pete Thompson and Mike Carlin on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Welcome back to the locker room here on 97.3 ESPN. I'm expanding the musical palette of one Mike Carlin today. There are more groups out there, Michael, than George Thorogood and the Delaware Destroyers. You might like these guys. They're kind of hard.
Yeah.
This is The Replacements is the name of this group. The Replacements.
Great movie. The Replacements movie was a great movie.
Great movie, yes. The song is titled Beer for Breakfast.
I like that.
You know, week 18.
Going back in time. I've done that.
You know, and the lyric literally right off the top, all I want to do is drink beer for breakfast. All I want to eat is them barbecue chips. All I want is someone to try and protect us. You could try, but you'd never. And it goes on and on and on. Yeah, you know, Pete Thompson, Mike Carlin with you here on the locker room as we wrap up a week 18 Sunday edition of the show. And before we get to some college football talk, we should pay off the people that took the time to text in. We appreciate that. Ty in EHC says, listen, guys, I'd rather play the Bucks. Just like Mike is saying, there's less travel time. There's no time change. Go Birds. Show your love. Show your love. No, he says he loves the show. Oh, okay. He loves the show. I read that wrong. Must be my vision here. And then Paul from OC says, hey, definitely the Bucks. Coming off a Super Bowl year, they've had a lot of injuries, and then the distraction with the AB, and I love this. He's throwing in his early prediction, right? His early prediction, and he says Eagles 24, Bucks 17. Thanks to Chef Jim, who's driving his daughter to Cape May for his daughter's basketball game. He's tuning in, sent me a text. Thank you as well to Jude and Kate. You know who you are, listening on a Sunday, week 18. Thank you to my boy James, who sent in. Look at this. Now, let me just hand you this real quick. I hit the mic. Sorry about that. But try to just quickly digest that, make sense of it, right? Because there is a scenario out there where they'll still play the Cardinals. And thank you, James, because he understands I'm a visual learner. He sent me like the grid. But if you're watching on the StreamYard, you'll see like, you know, there's no – look, I'm pretty good at digesting information.
There's a lot of stuff on that.
There's a lot of stuff on that. Let's put it this way. We've been asking all day, who would you rather play? Just to recap, Mike Carlin says he'd rather play the Bucks. I think I'd rather see them play the Rams. We will find out after week 18 settles in. All right. I promised you we'll discuss it. So we have a little bit of time here at the end of the show. We will discuss the national championship game that's going to take place tomorrow night. But before we do, I do want to throw in a couple other things too. First of all, you were talking about the Bengals, right, being your surprise team. By the numbers, 17, the Bengals clinched the AFC North for the first time since 2015, a year after finishing last in the division, marking the 17th time in the past 19 seasons a team won the division a year after finishing last or tied for last. That's one number. The other number, and this one's impressive to me, because I got to tell you, there's been some times where I've said, I don't like this guy. 15 is the number for Pittsburgh's Mike Tomlin. He once again is assured of not having a losing season. Yep. He's never had a losing season in his 15 years with the Steelers. That breaks Marty Schottenheimer's record for most consecutive years to start a coaching career without a losing season. I mean, even the greats have had losing seasons, and somehow Mike Tomlin has just continued to have excellence there. All right.
Year in, year out.
To your national championship point. And I will tell you, again, visual learner, first thing I put on my phone, because I knew, like, you might want to talk about this, 13-1 Georgia, 13-1 Alabama. The game's going to be in Indianapolis, if you remember that commercial. Where are we going? Indianapolis. Oh, you mean Indianapolis? Yeah, ESPN tomorrow night. Georgia's favored by 2.5. The over-under is 52.5. But you like who and why in that championship game, Mike Carlin?
I like Georgia, and I am an Roll Tide kind of guy. And I just, from watching college football, I mean, I live for college football. We were talking off the air. You give me tickets to the Super Bowl or give me tickets to the national championship, I'll take the national championship every year. I love the fans. I love the kids that go, the band, everything. But I think Georgia's too good of a team to lose twice within a short period of time. I think they know what they have to work on. And I think Vegas is a lot smarter than me. There's a reason why they think Georgia is a 3-point favorite. They got to know something or see something that maybe I'm not even seeing. But just as a fan, I really love Georgia.
Yeah, and I feel
Close.
very
Very close.
I feel like you can never pick against Nick Saban and his basically pro team, but we'll see how things shake out. Hey, listen, keep it tuned here for a triple header of action. You got Pittsburgh at Baltimore starting at 12:30 on 97.3. San Francisco at the Rams and the Chargers at Vegas tonight. Thanks to all our guests, Brad Quast, Brian Hartley, Scott Grayson, Mike Carlin, Colonial Mike for filling in. I'm Pete Thompson. Take care, Billy. Feel better. We'll see you again.
Take care.